Okay. Everyone okay?
Can use the opportunity actually and exchange the microphones.
Okay. We're just going to change the microphone. 1 second. Okay, all good. Can you guys hear me? Yes, good. Thank you. Okay. So don't forget to mute your mic unless you have a question. Hi, make sure that you've now joined the second Zoom chat. So we've closed the first one. Now join the second one. Okay.
That's nice. The color scheme is good. Lighting.
Okay. Kitty looks cute. Okay.
Okay. And when it gets darker, we'll adjust the settings.
Okay. If you're following on the PDF that I gave you, we're starting on page 7 with the third sutra. Okay. Sutra number 3. Okay. So let's recap where we were. Atha yoga anushasanam. Now here is the instructions on yoga. Yogaha chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga eradicates the fluctuations of consciousness, i.e., yoga brings you to the samadhi states. Now, sutra number 3 sounds like this. Tada drashtu swarupe avastanam. So tada means then, at that time. Drashtu means the soul, the seer. Okay? So the soul is the one driving this body. This body is the rent-a-car. And the soul is the driver. So tada drashtu, the soul at that time, swarupe, in his own state, avastanam, he abides and dwells. So, in other words, when you do yoga and you achieve the samadhi states, you are able to perceive the light that is you, your pure soul, not the drama moments that you thought was you, and that are covering and masking the light that is you. Your soul has no drama, because those drama moments are not you. Your soul is the pure frequency, the beam of light that you are. But the ego has mistakenly thought. Can you put my cat in my room?
Yeah.
He's knocking over the camera. Here you go. Okay. The ego has mistakenly thought that those drama moments are you. Okay? But when finally you reach the samadhi states, you're able to see clearly who you really are. So as Iyengar says here, reading, when the waves of consciousness are stilled and silenced, they can no longer distort the true expression of the soul. Reveal in his own nature, the radiant seer abides in his own grandeur. Okay.
Beautiful.
So it is beautiful, isn't it? And also very confusing if you're not used to this idea that you're beyond this body and you're beyond this mind. Then it sounds like a theory. But if you get into the samadhi states, it's a cellular experience. I'm going to put a TED talk on the WhatsApp group that Satguru, you know who Satguru is? This guy from India, his name is Satguru, talks about the first few times that he got into samadhi and how that felt for him, so that you can understand what this means. Tada drashtu swarupe avastanam. It's important to know that this is not an intellectual thing. It's not like you're trying to convince yourself or you intellectually arrive at. We're not doing any of that. The brain is off. Chitta vritti nirodha. If the brain is off, what is doing the perceiving? Does anyone have a clue? If the brain is off, which part of us is perceiving? The brain is not thinking. If we're not thinking, what are we doing?
Our soul?
Yeah,
Consciousness.
but how does the soul or consciousness perceive experience? How does it I think someone said it.
It's through our senses.
The heart.
Yeah.
The heart. What does the heart do? The heart feels. The sense of touch, the sense of feeling, our ability to feel starts in the heart and expands outward in all directions. So those of you that know, it's called the Vyana Vayu, the energy field that starts in the center of the heart, expands outward in all directions. So samadhi, the cellular knowing that is samadhi, the hinge pin of this knowing is the heart. That's why a lot of practices of Raja Yoga specifically work on heart frequency, because the heart frequency is necessary for you to perceive the soul. In the Upanishads, it even says that there's a little bit of a light of God in the center of your heart. And when you're quiet, you're able to listen to God in the center of your heart. How beautiful. So this is what we mean by tada drashtu swarupe avastanam. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay.
Very clear.
Yeah.
Don't be scared, don't try something.
Okay. Patanjali is a really smart guy, yeah? Okay, my technical guy is now trying something. Okay. Let's go to Sutra number 4 on page 8 if you're following along the PDF. Ooh, light. I'm okay with that.
You look okay.
So, thanks. So, if you're not there yet, so Sutra 4 is, okay, some people are in Samadhi, they're in their hearts, and they see the soul. But what if we're not there yet? So this is the what if they're not there yet. So Sutra 4. Vritti sarupyam itaratra. Vritti is I am not in Nirodha, I am fluctuating. Yeah, vritti means like my mind is all over the place. This is something familiar because most of us are here. Okay, this is everyone else, not the 0.01% of the population who are in samadhi. This is everyone else. So everyone else, sarupya means you identify with. Itaratra means something else. So that means that if you don't see clearly the light of the soul that is you, you think you're something else. So what are these something else's that we might think we are? Well, our drama moments, right? We are our drama. So you associate, because you cannot see the light that is you associate with your drama. You associate with your faults. I am clumsy, for example, or I can never do math. Whatever it is, you're associating with it as if that was you. Or some experience that you had that has molded your idea of self. Or maybe some kind of association with race, culture, family,
Role.
or your role play, right? Which is not you. So if I ask you guys this question, so let's make it interactive. If I ask you guys this question, who are you? But you're not allowed to answer with your name. You're not allowed to answer with your job. You're not allowed to answer with your age. You're not allowed to answer with the country you come from, right? And you're not allowed to answer with your family associations or social associations. And you're not allowed to answer using any material thing. Debbie.
I'm me.
Okay. It's a good answer. Okay. Yeah, that's acceptable. Who is
Thank
me? Who is me? Anyone have a smart answer to that question? Yes, Rita.
I am a conscious soul.
I'm a conscious soul. Okay. Are you just one conscious soul or many conscious souls? Or is there many or is it just one?
Yeah, I'm many than more than one. It depends on the situation that I have to face.
Okay. Ideally, you're just one.
Yeah, one soul, but you know, your
Yeah.
consciousness, sometimes you feel that depending on what you have to confront in life. So you have to
Yeah.
change perception, you know?
Yeah, that's true. And actually, being able to change perspective is important for unity consciousness as well. And not just stick to just one idea. Because there's no separation between you and everyone else or everything else. Sometimes perspective changes happen, and it's part of our discovery of who we really are. Anyone else have anything to say about who are you? Okay. It's one of those questions that takes lifetimes to answer, if at all. Okay. When the seer identifies with consciousness or with the object seen, he unites with them and forgets his grandeur. So what happens to us? We forget who we are and we desire those things that reminds us of who we are. In other words, for example, you can answer the question by saying, I am unconditional love, for example. But what if you've forgotten that that's who you are? So now you start to look outside of yourself for things that remind you of unconditional love. You start looking for love outside of yourself to make you happy, because you've forgotten that that's actually who you are, and that's why you keep looking for it outside, because you're already that. But again, you've forgotten. So what do we desire? We desire things that remind us of who we are. So that means that we are not sadness. That's a drama moment that you thought was you, but it's not you. Because if it was you, you'd be looking outside of yourself for more sadness to put in you. But what are we trying to put in us? Not sadness, but what? Love, happiness. What are you looking for more than anything else in this world? That's who you are. Yeah, so what you're looking for more than anything in this world is actually who you are, but you've forgotten. And so now you make that association to remind you. Okay? The natural tendency of consciousness is to become involved with the object seen, draw the seer towards it, and move the seer to identify with it. Then the seer becomes engrossed in the object of desire, you become engrossed in it. This becomes a seed of diversification of intelligence, makes the seer forget his own radiant awareness. You have a sense of separation now because you've forgotten who you are. You feel separate now. Oh, I want that thing, but I am not that thing, which is not true. You want that thing because it reminds you of you, because you are that thing. But we don't know that. So now we feel a sense of separation, and this causes suffering. And so the non-samadhi state is a state of suffering. The samadhi state is a state of conquering suffering. So you can say that yoga is created to liberate you from suffering. That gives the phrase yoga chitta vritti nirodha a different perspective now. Yeah? Because now you can say yoga eradicates suffering. And now you've got people's attention because it's something that everyone wants to do. Okay. So, going to Sutra 5, and we'll stop here, yeah? Sutra 5, Vritteya, Panchataya, Klishta, Aklishtaha, Vrittaya, Vritti, fluctuation. Panch means 5. So there are 5 different modifications of chitta, of the mind. 5 different modifications of the mind. Klishta means distressing, painful. Aklishta means pleasant. So the 5 different fluctuations of the mind can be painful or pleasant. Okay, so Iyengar says the movements of consciousness are 5-fold. They may be cognizable or non-cognizable, painful or non-painful. So this is what we call the 5 chitta vrittis, the 5 different fluctuations of the mind. So reading Iyengar, fluctuations or modifications of the mind may be painful or non-painful, cognizable or non-cognizable, meaning you can either recognize them or they might be subconscious and you don't recognize them. Okay? Fluctuations, pain may be hidden in the non-painful state, and the non-painful may be hidden in the painful state. Either may be you recognize it or you don't. So these fluctuations can be at a subconscious level. They're not always conscious. You're not always aware of them. Okay? When consciousness takes the lead, naturally the seer takes a back seat. The seed of change is in the consciousness and not in the seer. Consciousness sees objects in relation to its own idiosyncrasies, creating fluctuations and modifications in one's thought. So going to the statement before, okay? So if I am not seeing the light that is me, I am having a sense of separation because I'm looking outward to find me and I can't find it anywhere there. And so the more I suffer, okay? And because of this suffering, because of this split between you and you, everything outside of you is you, everything inside of you is also you, but now there's a split. Because of that split, the mind cannot be in one wave anymore. It's all over the place now. It's being pulled in different directions by all the objects that you've associated with. And therefore now we have the 5 different chitta vrittis, or the modifications of the mind. Clear? And what I want you guys to do is read these modifications of the mind for our discussions tomorrow. So you have the 5 chitta vrittis. So start with Sutra number 6, which talks about pramana. So we have pramana, viparyaya, vikalpa, nidra, and smriti. So let's go to Sutra 6, which is on page 11. And now we have the list of the 5 different fluctuations of the mind. Some of you guys know this already from your 200-hour course. Pramana, viparyaya, vikalpa, nidra, smritayaha, meaning these 5 are the chitta vrittis, the fluctuations of the mind. So pramana means the truth, valid knowledge, experienced knowledge, something that is true, something that is correct, something that is studied and verified. Viparyaya is a false truth, something that is not correct. It's a little bit perverted, it's a little bit inverted, it's contrary to the truth. Then we have vikalpa, which is imagination, basically. Something that is not true at all, but we may think it's true. You might have a little bit of a doubt that has kind of taken you away from the truth. You've imagined something else to be true. Nidra, which is a state of sleep, and smriti, which means memory. So these 5 fluctuations of the mind result when we are not in a state of unity consciousness. Even the truth itself, even the facts themselves, can distract us from unity awareness. Because the mind itself in samadhi is off. We're not analyzing anything, so there's no pramana. We're not imagining anything, so there's no vikalpa. We are not in any form of doubt. We are not asleep and dreaming, and we're not remembering anything. Okay, so I want you to read the next few sutras from sutra number 7. Just write this down. This is your homework. And Iyengar can give you a nosebleed. So read slowly. Put it down. Maybe fall asleep because your brain cells can take it. And then you read again. Okay, you start from Sutra 7. And then you keep going. And I'll tell you when to stop. And we're going to discuss about this tomorrow. Okay, so up to Sutra number 11. Okay, Sutra number 11. from 7 to 11. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so read those 5 sutras and we'll talk about them tomorrow. Okay. Does anyone have any questions so far? Good. I hope that was clear. Yes, Kat.
I have a question about the stage of don't you call it a meditative stage or the stage of stillness when you're in the stage of observance?
Okay, so yes, what is your question about it?
The question is this all the discussion about where you at in life and what you want to have. You want to finally find your soul purpose, yeah, and
Yeah,
you do it deep inside, but you're here in life to find it again
yeah,
eventually,
yeah,
isn't it?
yes, correct.
Yeah, so I was thinking that my question is it like the stage name is observance, like we all should be in observance stage to not judge and to not you understand what I mean, maybe to reach to our soul purpose.
Okay, yeah. So the sole purpose is a knowing that you don't need to logically deduce. It's something that you feel. And in order to get to that state, you need to have, yeah, an inner observation. Okay, someone's asking what the benefit of chanting the sutras are. Okay, so traditionally we chant the sutras in Sanskrit because number one, that's the way they were remembered before they were written down. And so to honor the tradition of the way that they were remembered before they were written down, we chant the sutras. I also think it's a very beautiful way to remember it because you can hear the language in its original form. Just seeing the words of Sanskrit English on the page won't really give you the feeling that the chanting gives. And just to honor the way the knowledge was handed down, we do the chanting. Okay, that's basically it. Yeah. Some also say that Sanskrit language itself will open some portals in your brain. And you know, if that's true, then why not give it a go? Never know. we can open some brain portals. Wouldn't hurt.
That. Do you have
Yeah.
a copy of the chanting? Can you
Yeah.
provide us?
It's in
Sutra?
my apartment
Oh.
on my on my bookcase in CD form.
In CD
I have
form.
period if you
Yeah.
want.
So if you want to come to my house, grab the CD,
Okay.
chanting the Yoga Sutras. There's one CD that's call and response, like the guy chants it and then you chant it after, and there's just he's chanting the whole thing. So it's there in my bookcase, and it's in my white computer, which is with Diego. So you can get your flash drive and just go and copy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll get one of these days.
One
I'll
of these
speak
days,
to the
maybe you go to my apartment and Skype me from there, and then I'll show you where everything is.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So difficult. Okay.
It's an elaborate joke.
Yeah, so Kat, going back to you. So when we're in Nirodha, we're the observer. Consciousness is observing itself. In that observation, you're able to perceive the light that is you. And when you perceive the light that is you perceive your soul purpose. You witness your soul purpose. Okay, in a cellular way. You just arrive at that knowing. Or sometimes it comes to you. Because remember, Wisdom comes to you because you are not just this. Part of your brain is beyond this instrument. And that's where perception comes from, beyond. In order to find that beyond, in order to perceive that beyond, this guy needs to shut up. Does that answer your question? Okay, good. Okay. So, if there are no questions, so again, our homework, and I'm gonna type it now. Homework, read Sutras 7 to 11. Okay. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Thank you, Asli. Yoga Sutra chanting. Thanks for that. Okay, so someone shared Yoga Sutra chanting on the WhatsApp group. Okay. So we're going to do more Yoga Sutras tomorrow. But what we're going to do next for you, and I'm going to get Nora to help, is we're going to do some adjustments. Now, we're going to show you some adjustments, but I'd like you during the week to practice on people the adjustments that we're going to show you this weekend. Can we do this? So you're going to find some guinea pigs and you're going to adjust them. Okay, maybe your students, maybe other people that live with you. Okay, I've shared with you on your phones this PDF on adjustments. How many of you saw that? Yeah. Okay, so a link on the Google Drive, if you can please download it. We're going to go through it slowly. Some of you have printed it out, so that's great. We're going to go through it slowly. And let's just look at the first page. Okay, so Yoga Adjustment Guidelines. So that's the Word file called Yoga Adjustment Guidelines. And so if you can just turn to the first page. So before we do adjustments, let's read about them first. Okay? So how teachers choose to guide and support students varies greatly depending on the style of yoga that you do, etc. There's two things you have: a correction and an assist. A correction is when you're fine-tuning someone's alignment. An assist is when you're helping them go deeper into the pose. Okay? The adjustments that I'm going to show you are very post-corona friendly. And I am just really lucky to have lived in the Middle East for 11 years when, you know, in the Middle East, people aren't really into like very, very hands-on stuff. And so I've developed a lot of adjustments that are very, very less hands-on. And I think it's perfect for the situation that the world's in now. Okay? Less body contact, the better nowadays. And if you can use your towel, it's even better. You don't touch anyone at all. Okay, so we're going to learn very, very minimalistic adjustments. Okay, so why would we assist someone? Potential reasons. So let's look at why we would help someone physically. Okay, so to remove a student from an unsafe position due to poor alignment that might lead to injury. I think this would be the number one. So if you're looking in a class, there's maybe 10 people in a class. Who would you approach first? The one that's going to hurt themselves with what they're doing. Always go straight at them, whether they're new or not, because you want to be safe. right? Or you might give information about alignment of the pose. You're assisting someone so that they will know proper alignment and how to fine-tune their own alignment. And finally, another one, give information about the energy of the pose. Maybe they're not activating the right muscles. Maybe there's no energy flowing because they're misaligned. Maybe they're not feeling the connection between their inner thighs and their spine, etc. Okay? Increase the student's awareness of her body and breath. So sometimes the person, and most people are like this, most people are in their heads. They're not in their bodies at all. And so because they're not in their bodies at all, they need someone to show them how. Provide encouragement. Okay, and respond to students who are asking for clarification. The kinesthetic learners are the ones that are going to ask you to adjust them the most because they learn by doing. Okay. Give students a feel-good adjustment to help them get deeper and to reach a pose that they might not be able to get to on their own. Okay, which makes lots of sense. But what's more important for us to know is who shouldn't we adjust? I think this is more important than why would we adjust. Who shouldn't we adjust? And one thing that when you get into alignment, what you need to remember is that alignment is specific to the individual body structure. And things aren't black and white. So even if someone doesn't look right, maybe that's right for them now. So you've got to look past that ideal form in your head that you're trying to get people to look at and to look like, with bodies that are way different than the body that did that form to begin with. Okay, so while we discuss each of the poses that we're going to adjust today and tomorrow, we're also going to look at different possibilities in body structure. So if there's maybe a student that comes to your head that you want to ask a question about, feel free to unmute and ask a question about it. Okay, because what we want to do is be able to help people more with these adjustments. Okay, so just because someone doesn't look right doesn't mean that you need to adjust them. Instead of looking at what they're doing wrong, this is important. Instead of looking at what someone's doing wrong before you adjust them, see what they're doing right. See what that body is doing right in the pose before you fix them. You need to know what they're doing right. And that's going to guide you better. Instead of always looking for what's wrong, look first at what they're doing right and then build on it. You're going to have a better result than fixing what's wrong, because that's a judgment, isn't it? We want to help people get better. We don't want them to think that everything is wrong. Okay? Teacher learned a cool adjustment for the pose and wants to share it. Yeah, I'm going to sit on you. I just learned this today. No. Teacher likes to show off. Okay, obviously no. Teacher feels she needs to demonstrate. Okay, obviously not. Okay, we're not that immature anymore. But what you wouldn't want to assist are beginners. Why? Why don't we want to assist beginners?
Because you don't want to make them feel like they're just doing it all wrong and
Yeah.
never want to come back.
Absolutely.
You need to encourage them so that they'll come back and
Yeah.
continue.
So they might not look good, but at least they're not hurting themselves.
Otherwise, they're going to lose all their courage to try and come back to your class because they'll just think, well, I can't do it anyway.
Yeah.
I had the same experience with a teacher who was just showing off and told everybody, oh, you just have to practice a little bit and you can do it too. So nobody went to his classes anymore because it was, even for me, absolutely discouraging. You felt like, yeah, you had a minor inferiority complex.
Yeah, yeah. So you want to encourage, you want to say, that's good for today, you know, that's really good. You did well today. I can't wait till you're here more often. Because if you can do that today, imagine what you can do in a month, you know. Yes, Katrina.
Maybe I have a question. When you're doing a lesson and you have, for example, 20 students, yeah? I know it's hard to say, but I mean, I'm already having that intuition to see how they doing in alignment. But still, I want to ask this question: how often do you correct the students?
Okay.
Because, for example, because like if you have more than 10 students, this obviously 3 or 4 will be doing that right, but you don't want also other ones to stop. This kind of
Yeah,
line.
good question. How many students can you adjust in 5 breaths?
Maybe 1.
1.
Yeah.
Right? But if you're doing an alignment class and they're there for maybe 1 to 2 minutes for each pose, you can get to more people. But who would you prioritize? So let's create a priority list. So number 1, not the new people. So they're all out. Unless they're hurting themselves, then you're going to come up to them and say, keep your knee straight or something. I don't know, whatever it is that they're not doing right. Okay, you're going to just go straight to them. But if they're not hurting themselves, just leave them. Okay, that takes the beginners out of the picture. Okay, now look at safety. Anyone locking their knee, anyone rotating a joint that's not supposed to rotate, they need to go first. Anyone that's hyperextending something that in a different position, you know, all of these safety issues, that's number 1, safety. Then number 2, check and see if there's someone that, you know, if you know your students, you'll be able to figure this out. Check and see if there's someone that could be doing it better because you've seen them. And today, for some reason, maybe they're distracted. They seem to be hanging back a bit. Okay, assuming that they're not injured. So the second, what not to adjust, who not to adjust, people with joint injuries. Okay. So that's the second, people who are injured or not feeling well, you don't adjust them. Or anyone that tells you, you know, I just don't feel like being touched today. Okay. But assuming that they're none of those people, check. Because sometimes people are quite distracted. They're not really giving it 100%. And you've seen them, they can do it. And number 3, someone that actually comes up to you and says, can you fix me in this pose? Okay, so first, safety. Second, someone that can do better. And third, someone that asks you. If you're doing alignment and there are more than 10 people in the room, you probably need an assistant. Or, you know, adjustment is the last on the line of what you can do to correct someone. The first thing that you can do is a really good demonstration. Second thing you can do.
With voice also, you can say that please align your heels and the back leg, so, the front leg.
Yeah, demonstration with verbal cueing, and then verbal feedback. Like, a lot of you are locking your knee, please soften your knee and pull your kneecap up. Okay, so if a lot of them are doing it, instead of adjusting each of them one by one, you're giving them group verbal feedback, right? And that's going to, and then whoever is left that hasn't done it yet, that's who you adjust. Okay, so adjustment is the last in the line. Okay, what are the most common unsafe positions you've noted in class that would require adjustments? Okay, look at the knees first of all. Avoid rotation. Any pose that causes rotation in the knee, this is number one to look at. Okay. Number two, probably lower back. And usually it's a rounded flexion. And we'll look at these things later when we go through each of the moves. So after the knees, I would go for the lower back. And the number three to look at would be the shoulder position, especially in weight-bearing activities. Okay, those are the top three things that I would look at that probably need to be adjusted. But knees are definitely number one on the list. Okay. So again, people who are injured, okay, people who are new, people who have trauma. So it says here, people with unresolved trauma who are uncomfortable with touch. And it could be also culturally, they're not comfortable with being touched. Okay? In most places, you give people the option of whether you want to, whether they want to be adjusted or not. You know, the little white pebble on the mat, don't touch me. Or you can ask them in the start of the class, who doesn't want to be touched, please let me know, because I like to go around touching people and fixing them. If you don't want me to come around, please raise your hand now, or come up to me now, or whatever it is. Okay? And then we have, maybe you're not trained to do that adjustment, or you don't feel confident. If you don't feel confident, just don't do it. Practice. That's why what you need to do after this weekend is find someone that doesn't mind you adjusting them, and ask them to give you feedback. Oh, too hard, not enough, etc. Okay. So we have here, for some teachers and students, hands-on adjustments can be either central to their practice, a major component, or a welcome addition. So while we provide some general guidelines here, okay, you also have to be flexible. I'd like to say you need to be flexible with looking at the body of your student, because this is going to give you some adjustments that you won't find out there. If you look at the individual body of the student, and you can see where it can take you and what you can do with it. So we're just looking at page 1 of the document. We'll look at different bits every day. Okay, so we're just looking through basically preparing for assists. Throughout this process of learning to see and relate to students, remember that you are teaching yoga, not trying to get people into poses. Some people assist with their ego and not with their heart. So a lot of people are that way. Yeah, we can get you there. Yeah, we can get you there. Well, what if it's not about getting them there? Because they can get there, but then they'll feel really awful, or they're going to get hurt. So instead of adjusting with the idea to get them there to achieve, why not adjust to make them feel better? Okay, so it's really important. It's a process, not attainment. Try to look at each student as a unique and beautiful person he or she is at the moment. Again, look at what they're doing right. Explore how you can share what you are seeing in a way that helps the student to see more easily and clearly, and to feel his or her own body, breath, and practice. Okay? All right, so we're going to go through the rest of the document as we proceed through this module. But right now, we're going to give you some adjustments. Okay? So I'm just going to take a short break. So if any of you need to go to the bathroom or whatnot, remember you are going to get the video. But right now, what I want you to do is take notes and have a look. And then later on, practice this. Okay? All right, so we're going to take a break as we move the camera around so you'll be able to see us better. Okay. Sorry, no. We're going to do today standing adjustments. But I want to start with the forward bend, I think.
All right. Turn it out to this again then.
Okay.
So you see ourselves there?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So this is Nord, in case you haven't seen Nord before. Yeah, he works with House of Om, and he's helping me. So let's do forward bend first. And I just want to show you what differences in pelvic tilt could do to someone's forward bend. Uttanasana. So you're going to stand here. And first thing you're going to do is scoop the tailbone in and then bend forward. Okay, there. So what you'll see is this, the rounding is happening in the upper back. So some people, when they do a forward bend, you'll see them look like this. And pressing them down will not improve their forward bend because they're bending from the wrong part of the spine. Come back up. Now bend the knees, stick your butt out. Now bend forward. What's the difference now? Now he's bending from the proper part of the spine because his pelvis is in the right position. Slowly come up. So if someone has a posteriorly tilted pelvis, they're the ones that you need to correct the hips before any other part. So go back to the first one. So if someone has a posterior tilt, that's a posterior tilt. The hip bones are sticking out, and the upper back is rounded, and the neck is sticking forward. There you go. And so if someone with a posterior tilt bends forward, what you want to do is fix their pelvis. So how to do an adjustment for someone with a posterior tilt? First of all, make sure they've bent their knees. Grab the pelvis and stick their butt out. Okay, and that's the assist they need. You need to anterior tilt their pelvis. So you take their hands, grab their pelvis, and tilt it so that they can stick their butt out more. Okay? Because it's this sticking their butt out more that's going to help their forward bend, because now they're bending from the lower part of their spine instead of for here. If someone's got a posterior tilt and they're bending from here and you push them down, what you're going to do is you're going to overstretch this vertebra. That's not a good idea. Okay, so you've got to make sure, bend the knees, stick the butt out, open the chest, and maybe they won't go down too far, but at least they're stretching from the right part of the spine. So I might give him some blocks to put his hands on while we work on freeing the pelvis. What is the reason for this? Usually hamstring restrictions. So if someone's got a hamstring restriction, it's going to affect their ability to stick their butt out. Okay? And so if someone's got a hamstring restriction come up, then the best way to improve their yoga is to lie them on their back, lie on their back, and have them stretch their hamstring in a more free-form way. And that's going to help them to release the hamstring restriction that's getting in the way of their forward bend. Okay? Does anyone have any questions about Paschimottanasana Uttanasana so far? We're not done yet, yeah? So that's just the pelvic tilt.
Maybe
Okay.
could it be
Yes.
that the rounding of
Oh,
the
I
upper
cannot
back
hear.
is
Hang on,
also-
1 second. Where's the little mic?
There, your white.
The white earbuds. Where are they? 1 second.
Okay.
Where you put them?
You pull them out and then.
Ah, shit. Hang on. 1 second. Let me just. Yes, Nani, go ahead.
Could it be that the reason also of why it is round, the upper back is rounding, is it because of a tight lower back, aside from the hamstring, the tightness of the hamstring?
No, because a tight lower back is going to pull you into an anterior tilt. So a tight lower back, if the lower back is tight, so let's look at tight lower back muscles. This is your quadratus lumborum. When this quadratus lumborum contracts, you end up with an anterior tilt. This is a tight lower back. This is a loose lower back. See now, they're stretched. Hamstrings are tight. This is a tight lower back.
Can you?
Hamstrings are loose. Yes.
Can you have?
Lonica, 1 second. Yes.
Could you have both at the same time?
A tight lower back and tight hamstrings.
Yeah, posterior tilt, but also an anterior tilt, like.
That would be a neutral tilt.
Oh no. I mean, it looks like anterior tilt, but it also has the posterior posture.
Okay,
no?
I think that you could have an anterior tilt and rounded shoulders because of tight chest. So it's not actually a posterior tilt, it's a tight chest.
Okay.
That's usually what happens. And we'll get to the chest later on when you talk about the shoulder.
Sorry, how is it tight chest? How
Tight
do you look at it?
chest,
Tight.
this is tight. This part is tight. So the shoulders are pulled forward like this.
Ah, that's
Okay,
a
so
lot of
even if your butt sticks out with an anterior tilt, you can have shoulders that are tight as well. It looks like this. I'll show you how that looks. You'll see the ribs flaring up, and then the shoulders are forward like this. Ribs are up, shoulders are forward. Okay. So sometimes that happens.
It's not exactly what I was thinking of. Can I show you?
Show me.
So there is a little bit of an arch, but still moving forward with the hips, and then the shoulders round. But there's still a little arch as well.
Ah, yeah. If there's a little bit of arch, that indicates that either the psoas or the lower back is also tight. That could be possible.
That's what I'm asking earlier also, Pee-wee.
Yeah, that could be possible.
How do we adjust that piece?
Okay, so first of all, number one, start with the pelvis. So I will show you number two. Okay, all right. So the second thing, stand up again. Bend forward, sideways. So after we've sorted the pelvic tilt, the next thing you want to sort is the lower back. So how do we sort the lower back? So drop all the way down. Okay, so two things that you can do. You could release the lower back with your hands by just pressing into the lower back to manually release it. Or you could take one hand on the sacrum, the other hand on the two mounds of flesh beside the spine. So not in the center, on the two mounds of flesh beside it. And you just press away in the opposite direction. Okay? So lifting your hips a little higher and pressing away. So your one hand is pushing down, the other hand is an anchor. Or just take your fingers and press into the lower back to release it. Okay, and then pushing down with one hand while anchoring with the other hand. Okay, and that's going to release the lower back. So that's for the lower back itself. Okay. Another thing that you can do to help them is get the thighs to rotate in the right direction. Low forward bend should be done with an internal rotation in the thighs. And sometimes having this internal rotation happen more will help the lower back to release. So how to do that? Okay, so two things. You can teach your students to rotate the thighs in as they come down, and you can assist them sideways again. Yeah, so you can rotate them. You're going to rotate them yourself, but you can assist them just like I taught you in the 200 hour to push against their heels and have them press against you and then come down into the forward bend. So don't forget about that. That's a really great way to open people's forward bends. Otherwise, the assist is really just pressing down. I wouldn't push down here again. I wouldn't push down here because what you really need to do is release the lower back.
Evie, I have a question right here. Can you stand there beside the guy?
Yes.
It would have been better if it's closer to the camera, Kiwi.
Oh, you want to be closer to the camera. Okay. Nord, can we put the camera on the table or something so that they can see you better? Or
Are you
closer?
on the lower back on the sides of the vertebra of the
Yeah.
spine?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
Nord, come here. Put your butt next to the camera.
Yeah. I wanted to ask I have a question about,
Yeah.
because
So-
I have private student
Yeah,
who
please,
has
please.
problems with back.
Come face this way more. Okay.
It
So
will
this is the center of the spine, right? Can you see?
correct.
The center of the spine. These are the two mounds of flesh beside the spine. And that's where you press. This is where you need to release these two. Got it? Okay, there. See these two mounds? These are the ones you need. You don't push here, obviously. This is their lower back. This is what needs to be released. Yes,
Yeah,
you have the client with the back problem you were saying?
Yeah. So I have a client. If I can show on your guy, or I can
Okay.
show on myself. So
Okay.
she has it's a medical condition, but I'm not sure what's the name for it. It might be diaphragmatic spasm or something. Basically, the shoulders are a little bit up. I will just stand up now and I will show you.
Okay, show me.
In her forward fold, she has a bump in the middle of the back,
Yeah,
basically.
okay.
I'll show you now.
Okay, show me. If you can get the picture of her and put it on the group.
Yeah, so when she's bending, she has
Yeah.
a bump.
Yeah.
So her hips are okay. Her hips are bending right. And then here is a bump, and so she bends
Okay.
kind of, not even rounded, not rounded, because the hips are going low. The hips going very right, and then here is a bump, In the
Okay,
middle.
that
Fine.
means that that vertebra, due to her condition, is looser than the other vertebra. So the flexibility of that vertebra, it's that vertebra is hypermobile. The other vertebra are normal. That vertebra is hypermobile. What you need to do is do strength training on that vertebra.
It's I think it's if you say a third chakra spot, like here, basically.
Yeah.
This spot.
Then that's that chakra, that vertebra is hypermobile because of her condition. So what you actually need to do for that specific vertebra is extension training.
Extension, yeah.
Because it's overstretched.
Mm-hmm. But it can, because sometimes I tell her even to hang somewhere, to hang herself.
She doesn't need to stretch. She doesn't need to stretch. She needs to strengthen it.
Mm-hmm.
How do you strengthen it, Pee-wee?
We will get to that. We will get to that. Module 2. Module 2. People.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a question then about this lady. If she has this condition, will it help her if she doesn't fall that much?
Yes.
That she actually falls somewhere in between and she just like halfway somewhere. Okay.
It would actually help her to do Ardha Uttanasana, because that's going to, work the extension portion of that vertebra, to do like Ardha Uttanasana. So yes, absolutely.
I also wanted to ask something. If you have, I have got 3 students with, middle scoliosis. So their spine goes like that.
Yeah.
They find a relief, just what we said before, if we go into Ardha Uttanasana more than Uttanasana.
Yeah.
And if I touch the points to get the brain muscle connection so they know where to send their attention to. What is your approach?
Okay. For someone with scoliosis, folding forward, interesting thing about scoliosis is that the reason why they're hurting when they bend forward, and Hilka, are you with us?
She's nodding.
She's not in.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so Hilka, you can share with this, because the reason why people's backs hurt in yoga and scoliosis is because we ask them to put their feet together when their back is not, their hips are not even because of their scoliosis. And that's why the back hurts when they bend forward. Mm-hmm. What you want to do,
to be hip width apart, no?
No, it's not about that. What you need to do is make their hips even. So that means that maybe one foot will be in front of the other, or maybe one foot will be a little bit out to the side and open. So what you want to do is instead of getting their feet to line up, get their hips to line up. And so you're going to modify their foot position so that their hips line up. And now their hips are lined up. And when they bend forward, it feels more comfortable. Hilka, can you share? Because Hilka has scoliosis.
Yeah, that's true. So for me to bend all the way forward, I have to move my right foot slightly back to make sure my hips are straight together, and then it's easy for me to go all the way down. But otherwise, it's like a blockage. It's uncomfortable.
Hilka, can you move forward in Paschimottanasana easily or not?
I can, because I've kind of trained myself where it feels comfortable. It's not that bad, but I definitely can move better if I make sure my hips are at the same angle. But I think Iggy has that problem as well. She also has scoliosis.
Yeah, Iggy also, yes.
When you're sitting on both of your hips on the floor, they might go equal then, right? When you fold forward, or still there's a difference?
No, so with all the pashis, I don't have any problem with that.
Okay. Just with the
sure that
I think it's because, when you put both sitting bones on the ground, it kind of evens out your hips. It's just when they stand up, because the hips are allowed to move where they want to, and that's when you have a more of an impact on the forward bend.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's a whole really exciting thing, yoga for scoliosis, that not too many people are actually addressing, because we're looking at even bodies and we're not looking at the individual body. But anyway, so back to the forward fold. Okay.
Just
yes.
later, when you have time, I've sent the 2 pictures. These are my nieces with scoliosis, and they find the Ardha Uttana very hard. If you can comment.
Show me the photo.
It's on WhatsApp.
Oh, it's on WhatsApp. Okay, I will comment on them later on.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, so for forward fold recap, the 2 mounds beside the spine, that's what you call the multifidi, and the quadratus lumborum in the lower back. That needs to be physically manipulated to get it to release. You need to stick their butt out to stretch the hamstrings and improve the pelvic tilt. And of course, we've just seen that if someone has a hypermobile upper back, then going into Ardha Uttanasana and training extension is probably better for them to fix their posture than pressing them to go all the way down. Okay, so you've got all these different options. I'm going to show you another one. So can you stand next to the camera?
Pee-wee, just one second concerning the forward fold.
Yeah.
Forward bend. With someone with, because you were talking about the hamstring restrictions and you laid him on the floor flat on his back with one leg at a time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you would avoid the forward bend for people with very stiff or with restriction in their hamstrings, or do another kind of adjustment.
A really bad forward bend, meaning you really have tight hamstrings, I would put them on a block or put their hands on a chair when they were bending forward. I would probably do a half forward fold on a wall. If their hamstrings are very tight, I wouldn't even make them put the hands on the floor. Put the hands on the wall and walk back to Ardha Uttanasana. And then work their pelvic tilt. So Nord, can you like put your hands on the wall? Can we like, yeah, put your hands on the wall and bend forward. And then what you can do is start, so bend your knees and stick your butt out. There you go. Okay, so, and that might be it for them until they can, work the legs straight, which eventually will take time. But again, working the pelvic tilt, working the rotation of the thighs, and keeping the knees bent until the hamstrings release. This is probably a way to train someone with a really stiff forward bend. In fact, that brings us to the next point. Okay, so if I flip him over and have him put his butt against the wall, okay, and then you're going to bend your knees, stick your butt out, put your butt on the wall, and drop down into a half forward bend. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually keep on sticking your butt out. I'm actually going to start stretching you. Now just push towards the wall, stick your butt out more. Push towards the wall, stick your butt out more. Now put your hands on the floor if you can. Bend your knees, stick your butt out more, push towards the wall. Okay, this is a good way to train the forward bend also. Instead of putting the hands right next to you, either on blocks or on the floor, he's flexible so he can do the floor. Stick your butt out, push against the wall. Okay, so what are we doing here? We're working his pelvis at a good angle and not overstretching his spine. By having him stretch the hands forward instead of going for the toes, you can ensure that his spine here won't be compensating for what's not happening here. So this is another way to train someone's forward bend if they're not ready yet to go all the way down. So that is the older brother of the half forward bend on the blocks. And it's also good to keep the tension of the spine even and not overstress one of the vertebra along the way.
Yes, so what would you do when...
Very good, yeah? Yeah. Okay.
So Phoebe, when this person with the hamstring restriction is doing the The sun salutation, it means he should always have 2 blocks in front of him, right?
Yes. So the blocks are going to be
But
there if he's going to do the sun salutation.
Sorry?
So if he's going to do the sun salutation, he's going to put the blocks in front of him and aim for the blocks.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. And in fact, I made the forward bend go first because in a normal yoga class, we take it for granted, the forward bend, but it happens all the time. And if someone's got the wrong pelvic tilt, it's going to overstretch their back. So we want to make sure to take care of it. Okay. So now we're going to go to the next pose, which is the warrior 2. Okay, so going to the warrior 2.
Really?
Get the mat back further away or not? A little bit.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's seeing the camera.
So hang on 1 second.
I have a question.
Yes, Lani.
I think I will park it for the seated poses. Same case, but on a seated position. So are we going to discuss it next time?
Yes, I will next time. Next time. Just doing all the standing stuff. Okay, so Nord's going to go into warrior 2. Okay, so let's, give me a really shitty one. Okay. Okay, step the foot here. There you go. That's pretty shitty. Okay, so, yes, Sofiana, you have a question? Is everything okay?
No, it's okay.
Okay, all right. Now, if you look at Nord's forward bend, if I stand here on the side, can you do the exact same thing facing side? Yeah, perfect. You're gonna see this common trend here that happens all the time. Okay? And then you're also gonna see that if I'm looking down like this at his legs, you're gonna see that his feet are misaligned. I can't even adjust this. I'm gonna have to have him repeat it. So I'm just gonna say, get back and do it again. So heel to heel or heel to arch, right? There we go. Now he's heel to arch and it's looking a lot better. Knee is still rolled in. Okay, knee is rolled in. So what usually people end up doing if the knee is rolled in is external rotate the knee. So I can grab his thigh, but because of COVID, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put my hand here and I'm just gonna say push against my hand and just have him do it. Okay? But sometimes they try to do that and it doesn't really work because they're rotating the back thigh too much, so face sideways so they can see. Okay, so we all know that there's a limit to how much he can external rotate his front thigh because of hip flexibility. So at some point, he will have to rotate his back thigh in to get the front knee to line up with his toes. So what I've done here is I just grabbed the back leg and I've internally rotated a little bit so he can aim his knee at the center line of his foot. Okay? When he is more flexible, you can actually rotate both of these a little bit. Okay? And I would have him step back more because he can go lower and stretch. So when he's more flexible, drop into it. External rotate the front thigh. External rotate the back thigh as per his capacity, but making sure that the knee doesn't roll in. If it rolls in, you need to push this guy a little bit. Okay? Making sure, some people are like this. So grab the wrist, grab the hip, pull them back. And then how do we address the tailbone? I have him draw the ribs in, and that helps him to scoop the tailbone. And if he doesn't know how to do that, turn around and do it from behind. And if he doesn't know how to do that, one hand on his pelvis, the other hand on his ribs, and you say scoop the tailbone. So again, one hand on his pelvis, one hand on his ribs, and then you tell him to scoop the tailbone. Okay?
Vivi,
Or
can
I
you just
can grab
pause
this
a second so I have
pelvis
time to
and
write
scoop the
it?
tailbone. But usually that doesn't work because they're just going to arch the spine. Yeah. So the best thing to do, one hand on the pelvis, one hand on the ribs, drop the ribs. So you're squeezing your hands towards each other like that. And that helps him to get into alignment. Now for the neck. A lot of people have really tight shoulders. And so how to get rid of that? Well, you could try this, or you could turn the palms up and pull the fingers, pull the arms away. And that's actually going to drop the shoulders away from the ear. So external rotation, and then pull the arms away. Okay, last bit. Some people are lifting the back foot. No? There you go. Some people are lifting the back foot, so actually just like you can step on them like this, or if they don't like to be stepped on, you just take the hand and just roll the foot. Or I tell them, or I put my fingers underneath and I say, press my fingers. There. And that's going to help you activate. It's important to activate the outer edge of the foot, so this whole entire back thigh becomes really strong. The back leg is a support system. If the back leg is weak, the pose is weak. Okay, thank you, Nord. Any questions about the Warrior 2?
Yes, please.
Yes.
I have one. So did you adjust him gradually as we're supposed to do? I mean, if the pose is totally wrong, because sometimes you adjust the part, especially in Warrior 2. Sometimes you adjust the part and then they tilt on another side, or they do wrong another part of their body. So which part would you start first in Warrior 2 to make sure that he's stable, and then you continue on the others?
You start from the feet and work your way up. So first you got to make sure, check feet alignment, fix feet alignment. Okay, now go for knee. Make sure there's no rotation. So that means now we're working on the thighs. Okay, once you've got that, then work on the tailbone. So you work your way up and the shoulders are last.
And then the arms. And then
yeah. So again, feet, knees, pelvis, pelvic tilt, shoulder alignment with hips, and then shoulder position. So you're going from the ground up.
Thank you.
Is there something that I didn't cover with Warrior 2 that you guys have seen before that you want clarity on?
I have one thing for the head. Should it always be facing the knee that's bending, or they can also face forward?
No. So
like face.
Yeah, they can face the front like that, or some people with like really like neck pain, they don't really enjoy that, especially if you have spondylosis. So just keep your head aligned with your spine and just face sideways instead of turning the head to face forward. It's okay because people with spondylosis, they've got this going, and then if they try to turn, it's really uncomfortable. So better to just try to line up, create space, and face the head sideways.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, awesome. Okay. Related to the Warrior 2 is the triangle. Okay, it's like the same thing. It's Warrior 2 with a straight leg. So let's go through alignment of the triangle, and then we'll work on some adjustments. Okay, so Nord, we're going for the triangle. Okay. One thing about the triangle though, the triangle is narrower than the Warrior 2. Okay, so he doesn't have to put his legs too wide anymore. And then he still needs to have the same foot alignment though. So either he's doing heel to heel or he's doing heel to arch. Now, what you need to check again is the knee. Okay, so can you do it facing forward so we can check the knee again? Yes. All right. So can you face side there? If you notice, his knee is kind of rolled in a little bit. Okay, so what we need to do is make sure that his knee, again, is tracking in the same line of his foot. What is making his knee roll in is the position of his back hip and back leg. So if the knee is rolling in like that, what you will need to do is internal rotate the back leg or press his heel back more. If you press his heel back more or rotate his back foot so that he's pushing the heel out and the toes are rolling in, that's going to allow him to open his hip a little bit more. So again, I'm checking his feet position first. I'm checking his knees. Everything looks good. Now he goes into the pose. Okay. And if he cannot straighten his leg, it's fine. But if it straightens, we don't want to hyperextend the knee joint, and you want to contract the front of the thigh, activate the quads. Okay? And so maybe that's it for him. Yeah? Okay, so the next thing we need to do is get him into a better adjustment. Can you face side so they can see what's happening here? So now he's going to do it.
Yes, that's
so we can check where he's at. Okay. What I can see is that he's spending a lot from his spine, and maybe I want to see if he can tilt his pelvis a little bit more. So I'm going to bring him back up. Come back up. And actually, I'm going to give him an assist to tilt his pelvis more. So I'm putting my hand on his hip. And I'm going to push him forward and take my hand and really push against his hip. And you know, if they don't mind you doing it, you could actually take your foot and you could just push against his hip like this. Okay, and then drop down. And that's it. Okay, so I might be able to tilt him a little like this, but he's reached his maximum. And now it's a matter of the side bend. So what am I doing here? I'm externally rotating his front thigh, internally rotating his back thigh, so that he can get his feet in position. Eventually, what's going to happen is, as his side becomes more flexible, as his hamstring becomes more flexible, he'll be able to come down more. Okay? What I could do for him, though, is open up the side more by taking one hand on his upper shoulder, the other hand here, and I'm spreading between his hands, I'm spreading his torso. So my body's against his back thigh. I'm taking the shoulder portion and the hip portion, and I'm spreading it. So it's like I'm stretching them further away from each other. And then I can take one hand on the rib, one hand on the back shoulder. I can rotate a little bit more, and then he's going to reposition his top arm. So rotation happens after you've opened the hip and spread the body as much as you can. A lot of people do the other side. A lot of people, you need to spread open the body because they're slightly leaning forward and coming down like this. Okay, a lot of people are trying to touch the floor, and so their body isn't really open. It's kind of closed a little bit. So first thing I'm going to do is have him come up and have him grab the shin instead. Okay. And then again, I'm going to spread the space between his shoulder and his hip. And again, one hand on the lower shoulder, one hand on the upper rib cage. Rotate the upper rib cage a little bit. Reach up, pull the hand up. Where can he look? He can look up at his fingers, he can look straight ahead, or he can look down. If he has a neck problem, he's better off looking down and dropping the chin so that he gets a nice stretch here. Okay. All right. Now, you watch Nor do the triangle and watch me do the triangle and see the difference. Do the triangle. You do the triangle first. Okay. Now I'm going to do the triangle from here. No, you stay in the triangle. Stay in the triangle. Guess what the difference is? Why does Nord look like that? Is that wrong? Let's see if you guys, let's test your eyes. Okay. Why does Nord look different than me?
Body restrictions.
Yes. What body restriction is it?
Probably a tight lower back.
Nope.
The sides are closed.
It's the pelvic tilt.
Pelvic tilt.
It's the pelvic, it's a bone restriction from the pelvic tilt. So have a look. Okay. So
Maybe can you also adjust?
Just have a look. Have a look first. Okay. Now I'm gonna do this. And I'm gonna tilt as much as I can. Now step your feet wider and tilt as much as you can. And that's it.
Okay.
It's a bone restriction. What happened? His femur is already hitting his pelvis early.
Okay.
And that's as far as he can go. How do I know that's as far as he can go? Because even if I push him down, it's not improving. The only thing he can do now is bend from his waist. Okay, turn your foot. There. So it's the pelvis restriction. That's why he looks like that. Because I have more pelvic tilt than he does. And the thing is that there's nothing we can do about it. There's nothing we can do about it because it's bone. Yeah?
Yui,
Yes.
can I ask you something?
Yes.
I did a course with Donna Farhi online, and she talked about the triangle pose, that you should be mindful of people hanging on their hanging on the vertebrae, their back, more than so how, because I thought he was doing that.
No, but he wasn't. He has no choice.
So how to determine if someone is really using their full muscle capacity and not hanging on their spine in the triangle?
Well, what you need to remember is that your ability to use your full muscle capacity is determined by how much mobility you have with your bone structure. That some people will be able to do that, but not everyone will be able to do that. So what you want to do is test their pelvic tilt.
Okay.
Because if you test their pelvic tilt and you could adjust him, let's say he was just hanging off his vertebrae and not really extending into it and taking the full range of his pelvic tilt, then if you took his pelvis and you tilted him, he would move. But if you try to do it to him, it's like rock. That means that that's it.
Okay.
Okay. So just remember that any activation is relative to the body's ability to do it.
Okay.
Yuri, I have a question regarding pregnant women. Would you adjust them, especially in the triangle?
Okay. Pregnant women have bones that are more mobile than other people. Their bones are more mobile because of relaxin. To be honest, I wouldn't adjust a pregnant woman, and I wouldn't adjust a lactating woman. So meaning if the woman is breastfeeding, I still wouldn't adjust them. I could give them massage.
Why? Why you will not adjust a pregnant and lactating woman?
I will not adjust a pregnant and lactating woman with an adjustment that you would do with someone else. There are specific adjustments or massages that feel great for them, like massaging them to release their spine. But I wouldn't use an adjustment to push them deeper because they have the hormone relaxin. And this makes all their joints more flexible than usual. And you can injure them easy. They can injure themselves.
Yeah, no, I didn't mean to push them further. What I meant was if they're doing the pose wrong, especially the
okay.
pose.
One thing you need to remember about the pregnant woman, especially if they're in maybe the second trimester, is that their bone structure changes. They're in lordosis. And there's nothing you can do about that lordosis. their butt's going to be sticking out a lot because baby is forward. And so, in fact, the feet in triangle will be a little different because baby is there. So the triangle will not look like everybody else's triangle.
Yeah.
There'll be more space between the feet, and you know.
Can I just tell from my own experience with pregnant ladies?
Yeah.
The bigger their trimester is actually, so you reduce the stance between the legs first of all, and then because they tend to overextend their joints, yes, you're right, you ask them to keep the microband always in the knee, just to stay on the safe side. So even if they say that no, I can do it 100%, you always say that no, don't do it, just to be, you know, on the side.
Actually you shouldn't go 100% if you're pregnant anyway. You should be at 60%. You shouldn't go 100% of the pose, and that's another reason why we don't adjust them, basically.
Yeah, so if they are doing a pose wrong, better to avoid the pose instead of adjusting. You just skip to another.
Stick to another pose or modify it and make it less. Okay. Or try to line them up verbally.
Okay.
Yes.
Could you show me? Lonica was talking about somebody hanging off their spine.
Yeah, I'll show it on my own body.
Could you show me how that would look, please?
Yeah, I'll show it on my body because I have a pelvic tilt. Okay. All right. So someone hanging off.
I mean, don't hurt yourself,
so
obviously.
You're not doing a pelvic tilt and you're not using your core. So let me just do it properly first. This is a proper triangle. I tilt my pelvis. I extend my spine. I use my core to support me. Okay, that's a proper triangle. Okay, or I don't tilt my pelvis, and I just kind of flop over.
Okay.
I'm not using my core at all. Okay, and if you try to adjust me, you would realize this because when the moment you did this, see, the tilt happens now. Okay, now this is my real triangle. The one I was doing before, that was not the triangle. That was something else because I did not get my hips where I could. Okay, so again on the other side, I'm just kind of hanging. In fact, I can feel a lot of pressure here, but I'm not using this at all. Now I am. But again, this presupposes that I can do it because I have the pelvic tilt.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, does that answer your question, Debbie?
Yes, Bibi, thank you.
Okay.
So the pelvic tilt is basically what we were learned from the 200 to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
And if you remember from the Paul Grilly video, and I will be posting the links to the videos again for us to review them, and for those of us that didn't get to watch them, that pelvic tilt differs in different people depending on the structure of how their femur fits into their pelvis. Right? Yeah. Siobhan, what does that mean, that the person who can't tilt their pelvis due to compression is more likely to damage their sacrum when doing triangle? I would say yeah. That it's important also to not push to go all the way down. The way the sacrum gets damaged is if you're trying to rotate it and the pelvis stays. So how does the sacrum get damaged? The sacrum sacroiliac dysfunction happens when the pelvis is rotating in one way, but the spine rotates the other way. So how to prevent that? Make sure that you have a safe angle wherein the pelvis and the spine follow each other. Let me explain a little bit more. So let's say I didn't have the pelvic tilt, and now I have to use my spine to go down. If I pull the hip this way, or pull the hip this way, and made the spine go the other way, I would damage my SI joint. Okay? But that being said, because your pelvis position is not so movable, chances of you moving from the sacrum are less. Most of the movement is coming from the upper spine. So actually, let me just say it again. Someone who doesn't have the pelvic tilt in a triangle will actually more likely throw off a rib than the SI joint. It's the people that have the pelvic tilt that are more in danger of the SI joint. If I roll my hip this way and rotate my spine that way while I'm in a pelvic tilt, yeah, I will throw off my SI joint. So if I'm going to rotate my ribs this way, the hip also has to rotate that way. They need to rotate in the same direction. If my hip is rotating down, my pelvis is going down. If my hip is rotating up, my pelvis is going up. They need to go in the same direction. If they go in opposite directions, it's a problem. And because I'm already tilted, then that's going to increase the chances of me moving from this, especially if I have a posterior tilt. So if I have a posterior tilt and then I get into the triangle and they don't line up, yeah, SI joint can have a problem. Okay, did that make sense to you? Yes?
Yeah, I just have another question on triangle.
Yeah.
Very often I tend to say, you hinge forward from the hips. Does that, by saying that, hinge forward from the hips and reach forward, does that kind of make your pelvis tilt?
Yes. That's a way to say pelvic tilt.
Okay, because I've never said to anyone kind of pelvic tilt when you do a triangle. So
when you say reach forward, hinge from the hip, that's basically pelvic tilt.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay.
Because I'm suddenly thinking, am I saying it wrong? Every time I tell someone to do it.
Yeah, yes.
Any adjustments for the beginners, like when earlier you used the blocks and the wall for the uttanasana?
Okay.
Any adjustments recommend for the wall beginners?
I'm going to show you a chair and I'm going to show you the wall. Okay, can I borrow the chair, Nord? Okay, so I'm going to do an adjustment with the chair for someone with this is a really, a Iyengar yoga, they use chairs all the time. So someone like beginner triangle, to put the hand on the chair, or again with the wall, hinging from the hip, reaching for the wall, and then getting the pelvis into position. You can do something like this. This is a nice beginner type of triangle experience. From here, tilt, reach, maybe push away from the wall, so I can step back a little, push away from the wall, and then just open your chest, that sort of thing. So yeah, or put your back against the wall and don't go all the way down. So now I've got my back against the wall and I'm just gonna tilt to where I can and just stay there. And now I'm using my core and I'm just against the wall like this. Not actually touching anything. Okay, so that's, if you want to train the core a little bit more, that's something that you can do. Okay, so these are like beginner options for the triangle. Okay. Any questions about triangle?
Yes, please, Pee-wee, when you were doing the beginner on the wall,
yeah,
would the only piece of the body touching the wall would be the back, or also the sole of the feet?
No, usually the sole of the feet should be a little away from the wall because most people's butts are in the way. So put the back against the wall. The soles of the feet may or may not be against the wall, depending. Or maybe just the back heel. The front heel will not even be on the wall because you're doing heel to arch. So important thing is you to line up the back with the wall.
With both shoulders on.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so that was the triangle. Okay. Let's go for the side angle now. Okay, Parsva Konasana. Okay, so I'm gonna move the chair out of the way till later. And get into Parsva Konasana, the side angle. Okay, so Nord's gonna get into Parsva Konasana. Okay. All right. Okay, so again, checking the form, heel to arch. The same, warrior 2 adjustments on the legs. Okay. All right. So let's look at different adjustments we can do. First of all, he's too high. How do I know he's too high? He's not making a side angle. He's making like a stairs. So step back a little bit more so you can drop into the side angle a little bit more. There we go. That looks much better. Okay, because we want to get the groin to stretch. Okay, now it's an angle. Okay, so one thing I need to check first is the back foot. So again, pushing the far edge of the back foot down. Another thing I need to check is if the knee is rolling in or not. So if the knee isn't rolling in, I can external rotate his front thigh, or I might internal rotate his back thigh that we talked about already. I might put one hand on his hip and one hand on his shoulder and just open him up a little bit more. Spread the space between these two areas. One hand on the rib, one hand on the back of the shoulder, and rotate him a little bit more. And another thing that needs to happen, little finger rolls in to create space between his shoulder and his ear. So I've actually hooked my hand against here, and I'm external rotating his arm as I pull his shoulder away from his ear. And that's going to make him more comfortable in his neck area. But if I want to get him to work harder, I'm actually going to secure him by stepping on his foot. I'm going to grab around with a towel or my fingers. I'm going to pull backwards at a 45-degree angle and have him reach forward away from me. How does that feel?
My foot hurts.
Okay, we'll step on you. Okay, how does that feel now?
Feels good.
Feels good, no? So what this is helping him do is extending his hip. Okay, slowly coming up. Okay, so that's the side angle. So pulling the back thigh at the 45-degree angle. Those of you that do swing yoga, it's the same thing where you put the swing on the back thigh and you're pulling at the 45-degree angle on the back foot. Now, if you have a strap, do the other side. If you have a strap, it looks like this. So making sure first his feet are aligned. And if you have the strap, you're pulling like 45 degrees and having him reach away from you. So push away from me. That's it. And use this tension to reach overhead. Can you feel that? Okay. So now I'm opening his groin and I'm giving him a deeper stretch without even touching it. I'm just using the strap. Okay. I'm letting you go now. Of course, I have to tell him when I'm letting him go and I'm not just going to walk away. Okay. Right. So clearly, side angle is a mix between warrior 2 and triangle.
Maybe can you demonstrate again closer how you adjust the top arm, how you adjust the shoulders with the top arm?
Okay, let me show you.
the ears because
Yeah.
it's facing at the back of
Okay.
your hand.
Sit down and put your hand over your head. Let me show you. Sit down here, put your hand over your head.
Maybe facing, his back is facing
Alright.
us.
So see how this space is really close. So if I take the little finger and I roll his whole arm in, and I put my hand here between his arm and his neck, and I pull it back too.
Ah,
Okay, so I'm
okay.
going to turn him around and I'm going to do it facing the back.
Yes.
Okay, so turn around and let's do it again. Lifting the hand. So very close to the ear, yes? So what we're going to do is we're going to first external rotate the arm so it's improved a little, then drop the shoulder away from the ear.
Okay.
Okay? Did
Okay.
you see that? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would also like to know how you feel about rotating this the external the thigh internally.
Yeah.
We want to stack the hips on top of each other. Some people can't open them again.
Yes.
So it's a bit critical.
Okay. Now remember that rotation direction depends on the bone structure's ability to sustain the movement.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just show you on my body close to the camera some options for that.
Thank
okay.
you.
So your groin's ability to rotate freely, the femur's ability to rotate in the socket is different for everybody depending on the structure of the hip. So normally we want to open the hips, but opening the hips is restricted by how the shape of your bones are. So ideally you want to external rotate. Okay, this is a really, really deep external rotation. Let me give you a different perspective. Drop the camera a little bit. Okay. Now, if the person can do this, so what's happening? I've put my pelvis on the ground.
Yeah.
If the person can do this, have a look, yeah? This is warrior 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
You see that? The warrior 2.
Yeah.
Most people can't do that.
Beautiful, yeah.
Most people will be up here. What does that mean? That means that if I do warrior 2 for real, and I can't do what I just did, I'm going to have to roll the back thigh in a little to open the front and to keep the knee in line with the toes. I'm going to have to roll in here because this angle will not improve. If I can't do it on the floor, I can't do it off the floor.
Yeah.
So
right.
again, ideally, you want to open the hip, external rotation. Realistically, you external rotate the front hip, but you internal rotate the back hip to keep the knee from rotating.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
that is the realistic situation.
Yeah, and I think this is what we see every day on the mat, and I can tell them every day, please externally rotate your thighs, and everybody's like, ah, please
yeah,
help
because
me.
they can't.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
yeah, so this is really important to take note of, and anyone that needs clarity, just drop them into the frog like I just did and say, can your pelvis touch the ground? Because if you can, then you can do it. Otherwise, we need to roll the back thigh in. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions with the side angle? Okay, we're going to move on now to the twisted triangle, and then we'll do the twisted side angle again. Okay, so before we get into the twisted side angle and triangle, again, we need to talk about the SI joint. And the reason why we need to make sure that the pelvis and the spine are rotating in the proper position. So let's just have a recap of that. I mean, it's always important to note that if Nord's hips are facing forward and I make him twist his spine the other way, but keep his hip facing forward, first of all, he's not going to be able to do it. And second of all, I'm going to mess up his SI joint. So what we don't want to do is keep the pelvis forward and twist the other way. No, that's never going to happen. I need to turn his pelvis first, so he needs to fix his feet. It's not the same as the triangle anymore because he needs to square his hip. So the heels are hip width apart and not together anymore because he needs room to rotate his pelvis. Now the hips are facing forward, the SI joint is not rotating, and now he can go into Parivrtta Trikonasana by taking his hand wherever he can get it. So Nord can choose, depending on his flexibility, to either put the hand here, to put the hand here, or to put the hand here, wherever is best for him. And for him, it's there because he has a long torso, short legs, and long arms. So for him, because he needs to respect the length of his torso, he actually needs to be there. But you can say, no, Nord, you're just not wide enough. So come up and step your foot forward. Step your front foot forward more. Okay, now go into the triangle again. He's still going to have his hand in front, but now it's harder for him. Yeah, so you can do that. Okay. Does it hurt?
No, it's stretchy. It's okay.
It's stretchy. Okay, get into triangle again. Let's address it.
Normal one or?
Twist the triangle. Twist the triangle. Okay, there you go. Okay, so that's his twisted triangle. What can we improve? Okay, first of all, his hip is not square. And that's okay because, again, the pelvis and the spine need to be moving in the right direction. If I force him to square his hip, I'm actually going to hurt him because I'm moving his pelvis in the opposite direction that he's twisting in. So it's actually okay that he's dropped one side of his hip. And I'll show it to you in front again. So, yeah. So turn around so they can see your butt. Okay, there. Notice how this hip is lower than this side. That's okay because that's the direction that he's twisting in. If I make him square his hip and lift this up like that to square, I'm actually going to hurt his back. That's actually better for him to have his butt tilted this way because it's going to keep his SI joint safe. Okay, so you notice this butt cheek is lower than this one. That is okay and safer than having him square his hip. Now, how do I adjust him? Just like a triangle. One hand on the shoulder, on him for support. The other hand on the pelvis. Spread the space. Spread the space. One hand on his rib cage, other hand on his lower shoulder. Rotate the spine. Pull to open the chest and lengthen through his arms, keeping the space between the neck and the shoulder. Okay? So what I want to make sure of is that his back leg is straight. Usually it's this front hip that needs adjusting. Usually the hip is like this and they have their butt sticking out. Okay, so we just want to make sure that that's not happening. Okay, come back up. Okay, so the position of the hip is the first thing you check, and then you start rotating their shoulders and releasing the neck. Okay. Anyone have any questions?
Yui, how do you know that it's okay for the hips not to be
Okay.
squared?
Yeah, because again, looking at the SI joint, the spine is rotating this way, so therefore I need to rotate my hips in the same direction of the spine. If I rotate my hips in the same direction of the spine, the hips will not be square. But if I square the hips, so this is the hips not square, one hip is higher than the other because that's where I'm twisting. If I try to do that, you can see now I'm rotating the pelvis in the opposite direction that the spine is twisting.
So what we always say, square the hips, is actually not right.
No, square the hips before you go into it.
Oh,
Squaring the hips is important before you go into it, to keep the hips square in the same position that you're going to twist. But later, when you twist, hips will not square anymore. But in the beginning, yes, please square the hip, because if it's not square, it's even worse. In the beginning, yes, square the hip, because that's going to set up your pelvis in the right direction. But when you're in it, one hip bone might be a little bit lower than the other, and that's okay. Is that clear now? Okay, awesome.
Please, with someone with hamstring restrictions doing the twisted triangle, would you ask them to micro bend the back leg?
Yes, sometimes they need to micro bend the back leg and even the front leg. Or put them on a chair or a block and have them just twist a little bit higher so that they don't, the hamstring restriction won't get in the way. But yes, sometimes the back knee needs to bend if the hamstrings are too tight. Sometimes the front knee needs to bend.
Okay.
So if they're feeling pressure or pain in the thigh or behind the knee, yes, the answer is yes. Okay.
Would it have the same effect if the hips aren't aligned, but you use a block or two blocks instead of going deeper into the twisted triangle, that you draw back the movement of the spine a bit instead? Would that do the same protection?
That is another approach to keep, let's say, the hands on the chair and just keep the rotation in the spine. But remember that at the end of the day, the movement starts in the base of the spine, in the pelvis. The movement does not start from the lumbar spine alone. And we need to take this into account. Spinal movements start from the base of the spine, not from the lower back. To isolate only the lower back and keep the pelvis and the sacrum in a square position is actually wrong. You're going to overstretch or overtense maybe the L5 lumbar vertebra, S1, L5 connection. The whole spine needs to move.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So how would I tell my client because I want my client to feel this pose, but he has a herniated disc, so
okay.
he cannot fall forward, right? So I would have him to stand close to the wall and do the square hip, the same, do what we're doing in the pose. But if I make him to hold on the wall, right?
Okay,
and
let me show you. Yeah, let me show you a beginner approach, how to get someone from a very beginner into the twisted triangle, because twisted triangle is hard, no? So let me show you using the wall, different modifications, and using a chair. Okay. So as you said, squaring to the wall. One hand on the wall, maybe leaning forward a little bit. Leaning forward a little bit and just rotating. So this might be like the level 1. Right? This is level 1. And then I'll move back a little. Where my hamstring restriction will take me, and I'm still going to, I'm here, so it's opening a little more. Okay, and here now we're at the level where we can give them something else to use to get them to work the pose. Get my hands on the chair. Pelvic tilt, open your chest. Still the spine is supported. And now I'm here. Maybe later on I will be here. And now this is already, I can do a twisted triangle already from here. I can do one from here, put my hand on the block or on the floor. So the important thing is making sure that this doesn't happen. Because I'm tensing. I'm tensing now my lumbar vertebrae. Now I'm not. Does that help?
Thank you. Exactly what I need to know. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I have got another question.
Yes.
This is regarding the classical triangle pose. I had a discussion with a very experienced teacher the other day. We could not decide, does your hand have to be inside or outside of the foot, or knee bent or straight? And I always go according to the person in front of me and their abilities. But then we agreed on this finally, but not on the hand placement.
Yeah, okay. There are different hand placements. Classically, like if you talk to an Ashtanga Vinyasa person, you would be aiming for the big toe.
Yeah.
Okay, so this would be the classical Ashtanga thing, is to grab the big toe.
But she's super classical.
Yeah, but of course, you know, there are different approaches. I mean, energetically, there's a reason why they grab the big toe in the first place. And if you talk to some Ashtangis, they'll say, you can compromise your position, but grab that toe. Okay, but in the Hatha Yoga world, depending on who you talk to, there are different opinions on front or back or what. What's important is the line between your torso and your leg. I think more important than whether it's the front or the back, it's the alignment of your torso and your leg. Making sure that your torso and your leg are in line like this, where the hand is, whether you're going to hover it in front, or you're going to hover it behind. Torso and leg must be in line.
Yeah,
because
so the exact.
I can go lower and do this, but I'm compromising the pose.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that was my point. Thank you. Yeah.
In the super wide triangle, Utthita Trikonasana. So the Ashtanga triangle with the grabbing the big toe has a very narrow stance. Sometimes in Iyengar yoga schools, they do a triangle that actually comes from Virabhadrasana 2. So if I do a triangle from Virabhadrasana 2 with really wide legs, what's going to happen is it's not going to be practical for me to grab the big toe anymore. It's so far away. The hand goes behind. This is why the hand goes behind. The hand goes behind in this triangle because the legs are so wide. This is not the alignment for triangle. This is Utthita Trikonasana, or super wide triangle coming from Warrior 2. The triangle is actually shorter than Warrior 2. Now I'm in triangle legs, and now it makes sense for me to grab the toe. Or as they do in sometimes in Power Yoga, you hover, or something. It doesn't matter as long as your torso and your leg are in line, so that you can work the pose with the proper alignment and activate what needs to be activated and engage what needs to be engaged. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely, we are of the same opinion. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, you're welcome. Okay, so that was the twisted triangle, and now finally, we're gonna get into the twisted side angle. Okay, so Parivrita, Parasvakonasana, where all of the above get put together. Okay, so now we're going to do the twisted side angle. Okay. Okay, so hips are square, all of the above. Okay, so let's see some adjustments for the twisted side angle. Okay, so first you're going to get into the twisted side angle. Can you face this way so that they can see? Okay. Other leg. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Okay. So first he's going to get into it. Okay. So first thing I need to check is his back thigh collapsing? So I need to make sure his back thigh is straight. I might just, you know, press him up a little bit to keep the back thigh from collapsing. The classical adjustment, checking the knee to make sure the knee is not rotating. If the knee is rotating, I take the back thigh and I roll it in a little bit so we can external rotate the front thigh. So again, applying all of the above. Stand next to him, put my thigh against his hip, take my fingers to the crease and the other fingers here and spreading the space a little bit. And then one hand on the shoulder. I'm keeping my body weight on him so he doesn't fall over. One hand on the lower shoulder blade, rotating. Okay, so that we can improve the rotation. And now I'm supporting him with my body weight. And if I want to walk away, I've got to make sure he doesn't fall over. Okay, sometimes we need to drop the hip a little bit, but he seems to be doing well with that. And so that's it. Let's do the other side so they can see.
Come back.
Yeah, turn around. Yeah. And make sure you're doing the other side. Okay, so it's going to get into the twisted triangle. What's it? Twisted side angle? Sorry. Okay. Back foot. Okay. See how it's lifted off the floor. You can't see. Let me. There you go. There you go. See how it's lifted off the floor. So I would try to get him to press the foot down. Okay, and I might even use my hand to press his foot down. If he can't do it, instead of doing that, I'll have him change his foot position into a lunge position. Okay, so I'm going to change his, so if he can't do it, I'm just going to change his foot position into the lunge, which is going to make him more comfortable anyway if he can't get the back heel to come down. Okay, and then his thigh needs to be strong, so I'm just pushing him up. Okay, so I'm just pushing him up, what you couldn't see before. Okay, you all right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So one hand on the hip crease, one hand on the shoulders, spread the space. One hand upper shoulder, one hand lower shoulder blade, rotating the spine. Okay, so that's to rotate the spine. Again, I'm supporting him with my body weight, and then when I walk away, I've got to make sure that he's supported before I do it. Okay. Arm variations for the twisted triangle. There are several. The easiest arm variation is just put your elbow on the thigh. That's the easiest one. And put your hand on the back and rotate. So this is like a beginner one. Okay, otherwise, you try to close the space between your armpit and the side of your thigh to get into a deeper twist. So closing the space, try not to close the mic. Closing the space between your armpit and your thigh so that you can get into a deeper twist. What you also need to do is open your chest and rotate the rib cage. The more length you have in the spine, the more open you have in the chest, the more you'll be able to rotate the rib. If someone is too rounded, sometimes it's impossible to rotate the rib. Chest needs to open a little bit so ribs can rotate. Any questions about the twisted side angle? Everyone okay? Yeah.
Maybe most of the people, when they do this pose, they lay down on the knee. Do we have to say that we have to engage the core? Or
yeah.
how do you pronounce it properly?
Yeah, I think I understand.
Most of
They're
the-
like resting on the thigh. That's what you mean, no?
Yeah. Yeah, they're not twisting, they just lay down, and for them it's so relaxing, when in general it's not supposed to be relaxing pose.
Well, it's not. It's hard.
Yeah.
Maybe if you make them open the chest a little bit and lengthen the spine, then they won't be resting on the thigh, because you want to rotate the rib cage as much as you can, no?
Yeah.
Then you won't be able to rest on your thigh anymore. If you adjust them, to rotate the ribs, rotate the rib adjustment, then they won't be able to rest on the thigh anymore. Adjust the ribs, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And also give them some kind of imagery, like imagine your torso is like a wet towel and you're trying to wring the water out of the towel. You know, that's the kind of action that's happening in your torso.
Usually what I'm trying to say, just in case it's not that overweight clients, that I'm trying to say, do not try to not touch your stomach to your standing front leg, because if they put the stomach down, you know, you lay down, but when you engage your core and your twist, then you're kind of feeling.
Well, that's one thing you can say. Or you can say, keep your core active. Try to get into the twistiest twist that you can. Actually, the core actually doesn't squeeze. It actually softens so you can twist.
Mm-hmm.
If you squeeze your abs, your twist is less. If you relax your stomach, your twist is more. So really the secret is open the chest and rotate the rib cage as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you can try including that language when you instruct it. Okay. Now we're going to do the older brother of the triangle, the half moon. Okay, half moon, older brother of triangle. Ready? Side, this way again, this way.
The same way?
Yeah, so they can see the adjustment. Okay, you need a block?
Yeah.
Okay, so just use the block. Okay, so Lauren's going to get into the half moon. Okay, so still looking at the same things. It's exactly like the triangle, where people, usually it's hard for people to do this pose because it's like a trust. It's a trust exercise. To rotate the pelvis to the side is difficult without an assist. So it's nice that you stay behind them. You can assist by lifting the leg up a little bit, stand behind them, take your hand to the shoulder, and open the space. Okay, so one hand lifting the leg, the other hand opening the space. And if you want, you can have them activate the leg on their own. Take one hand to the upper and lower shoulder, rotate a little bit more. I am standing behind him because it's actually a balance pose. It's quite hard. Okay, ideally you want to open the pelvis, but if the knee starts rolling in, you know that you've done too much of that, and you can just drop the hip a little bit. Okay, so do the other leg. So you're getting tired? So talking about the pelvis position, as much as possible, again, just like the warrior two, you want to open the hip as much as you can. But if you overdo it, what happens is the knee starts to rotate. And instead of making the knee rotate, just drop the top hip a little bit so the knee doesn't rotate. Okay? What some people do, because the knee is rotating and you open the hip, is they start to roll their foot in a little bit. So the heel goes out and the toes go in. Drop your foot and go into it with the foot like that. Yeah? So some people start rolling the foot in so they can open their hip more. Which I think, to be honest, if you do it this way, as long as your knee and your foot are facing the right position in the same direction, it's actually okay to do. So can you see how he's rolled in his hip why is he rolling in his foot and his thigh? So he can lift the back hip a little bit more. So some people actually do that, and I think it's actually okay. But if you're really looking at doing it correctly, you open the foot to face forward, making sure the knee is facing forward. And what you adjust instead is you don't open the top hip all the way. You roll it in a little bit so that your knee can be safe, and you just lift up from there. So again, it's the warrior two issue. Okay? So I'm not going to be able to stack my hips because my hip can't do it. So instead, I can either choose to either adjust the front foot and roll it in a little so that I can open my hip more, or keep the toes facing forward and adjust the top hip and just drop it a little bit. And just rotate from my spine. Okay, so either one of those things, as long as you're not rotating the knee, and as long as the hip is in a position that is sustainable by the person. Any questions?
No, but for a beginner, you would do that against the wall as well, right?
Yeah, you would go against the wall so that they have the support. You would put them on a block or not make them touch the ground and do like a floating kind of, you know, a floating half moon that looks something like this against the wall.
Oh, you've gone.
Okay. So floating half moon.
It's not showing.
Hold on, can't see you.
Have them touch. What happened?
Moved.
Hang on, we're having a technical difficulty.
I think maybe from what it says on my screen, maybe
our camera is a little bit, hang on, we're having problems with our camera. There we go. Okay. So like a floating half moon. You're not actually touching the floor against the wall. Okay, so you're leaning against the wall. You can imagine, no? You're leaning against the wall and doing what you can. Or you use a chair, put your hand on the chair and do what you can. Okay. Yes. The important thing is pelvis position, knee position. Don't rotate the knee, adjust the pelvis or adjust the foot so that you can open the pelvis more but not rotate the knee. Okay, so those are the things to check.
So would it be, if the pelvis is misaligned, is that what would cause back pain, lower back pain in the half moon?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Anyone else? Okay, so recap the poses that we learned today. Uttanasana, Virabhadrasana 2, Trikonasana, Parsvakonasana, Parivrita Parsvakonasana, and Ardha Chandrasana, the half moon. Okay, so we've learned these 6 poses that pretty much happen all the time in a yoga class, how to modify them, how to correct beginners, what to look for. So what you need to do now as part of your homework before next week, and write this down, is to find someone or some peoples to practice these adjustments on. Work on beginner people, work on people who have done yoga before, help them to do it deeper, check their alignment. And again, the common threads pelvic position, knee position. Okay.
Do we just practice, or do you want notes taken or photographic
I want you
evidence?
to, just want you to practice on your own.
Okay.
Okay, and then if you have any questions, because maybe something will come up that we didn't talk about, just put it on the WhatsApp group, like how do you adjust this, or you know what to. So if something comes up that that we didn't discuss, then we can talk about it through the WhatsApp group. But I need you to practice adjusting people into these poses.
Okay.
Bibi, we will have this video just to go through again.
Yes. Yeah, so what's going to happen after we're done in a few minutes is that we're going to load these videos on YouTube, and we're going to put the links on the WhatsApp group so that you can go through it again. You'll be able to review all of this material. And we have some people joining us from different time zones that are just about to wake up in a few hours, and they're going to watch the video on YouTube. So you're all going to get this video, and you're gonna have it for life until YouTube gets taken down. Okay, so that's the content for today. When you do the physical practice again, as I mentioned during the physical practice, that if you have any questions, then just put them on the WhatsApp group. If you have any questions about any of the poses, if you're having difficulty with any of the poses, if you need clarity on something. Since we weren't able to talk to each other during the physical practice, the breathing, names of mudras, whatever it is, just ask a question on the WhatsApp group, and we're going to continue using the WhatsApp group during this week for further learning. In case anyone has any question, it's going to be there, so we're going to learn from each other.
Kiwi,
Yeah.
I wasn't there for the first session.
Yeah.
Is it meant to have like some requirements for us to practice during the week besides the two practices we did?
I will be giving you by tomorrow. Usually what I would like you to do is just do again the classes we did on your own. Follow the video and just practice on yourself, and let me know on the WhatsApp group if you have any difficulty or if you have any questions. So at least once, do it again.
So you have 3. Okay.
Yeah, so you have 4 times because you've done tomorrow and today, and then you do it again.
Okay. Okay, 4 times. Okay.
Bibi, the sequence, like Ilonica, I missed it this morning. Will it be the same flow tomorrow morning, like in module 1 of your 200? It'll be the same flow for the whole of module 1, or?
No, you're grown-ups now. You don't need to do that anymore. But there will be a similar theme per weekend.
Okay. So tomorrow will be completely different to this morning?
It will not be the same as this morning, but there will be similar themes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, then you can get more material. You don't need to drill you anymore.
We will be getting material every lesson, yeah?
Yes.
Print out.
Yes. Okay. All right. Okay. You want the stick man? Okay, I'll give you the stick man within the week.
Or at least the name of the poses so that we can practice.
Yeah, I will give you the stick man with the name of the poses within the week.
Thank you. We love the stick man.
I know.
Yeah, I like having the stick man.
Okay, and I might do a short video. Nord was saying that one of the poses you're having a hard time with, so you know, the one where you have to grab your toe and stuff and lift your butt off the floor. So I'm gonna make a short video clip on that one as well. Okay. All right. So if you don't have any more questions, we're done for today.
For the one that you're gonna give us the short tip, are you gonna explain where to engage? Because I don't know how to lift my butt up.
Yeah, I'll give you more clarity on how to get that butt to come up. It's just shifting the weight. You shift the weight. You need to lean forward. I'll do a short clip on it again, and then you can ask further questions.
Kiwi, would it be possible to send a way to train to do the handstand and the headstand?
Okay.
For beginners.
For beginners. Okay, let's work on that. Let's yeah, maybe we can do the handstand training tomorrow. How to work a beginner person into a handstand.
Thank you.
We'll do that tomorrow, yeah. Maybe some assists for the handstand as well. Okay. Anything else?
No.
All right then.
Sorry, just one thing. I don't know about anybody else, but I got really bad blurred vision about an hour and a half in. Like, is it extra breathing or something that would
Blurred
cause that?
vision. Two things.
Yeah.
One could be circulation. Usually it's circulation. Like maybe you move too fast and your heart wasn't able to keep up with the movement.
Oh, okay.
In which case you would just transition a little slower, especially if you're going from down to up during the vinyasas. Then you just move a little slower and give your circulation time. Sometimes it's not enough fuel in your body for the exercise. Like if you haven't eaten properly, and you don't have enough sugar running through your system, sometimes that does affect a little bit.
Okay.
So those could be the reasons why.
Thank you.
Okay.
Fuel up for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Not
yes,
caffeine.
yes, Munira.
I have been suffering from a pain over here.
Okay. Yeah,
like
it's a deltoid.
At times external rotate. Yeah. And I think something here, the doctor says
from
there's
your
a
neck.
tension.
Yeah. Usually the nerve, we're innervated from the neck and it runs down the arm exactly here. I would say that would be cervical vertebra 4 or 3 that is being pinched. And what you can do is stretch the sides of your neck like this so that you can release the pinch. Because that helps a lot. If you stretch the sides of your neck to relieve wherever it's being compressed. It's around here in this area.
Neck belt, is that?
What do you mean, like a neck brace is not going to help you at all?
Oh, okay.
Traction.
And he asked me to do this exercise, lift my arms up, this and down. But when I lift my arms up lying down,
yeah, it's going to hurt.
I cannot touch this arm down.
Okay. Number 1, traction for the neck. Okay, if you want, remind me tomorrow, we'll do some neck traction exercises to release the vertebrae by pulling them away from each other. Okay? Sometimes, if you have any kind of swelling or inflammation in the joint, it gets in the way of mobility. So if you did have a neck problem and it caused you to aggravate your joint and there's a little bit of swelling in there, it's going to be difficult for you to get your hand to where you usually can do it. So the first thing we need to do is take care of your neck and release the wherever it's being pinched.
Yeah.
That's the first thing we need to do. So for now, stretch the side of your neck. And then tomorrow, we'll do some shoulder mobility, maybe traction, handstand assists. They kind of all go together. So let's do that tomorrow.
Okay. Because I was practicing a lot of headstand.
Yes, and that's why you compressed your neck.
Possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so now we just have to undo the damage.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Right, so we still have like maybe around 10 minutes left. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, then. Yeah.
Plus, the the scoliosis and the forward fold, but then in position you mentioned that you probably were already leveled and therefore you wouldn't have as much issues. And at least from my point of view, like, okay, I have a bit of scoliosis, but I can do a forward fold very well, but then I always find myself in the seated position. If the legs are spread and I need to forward fold, I don't have any, like, I'm just there, right?
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if you have any insight on that, or if you're going to discuss this later on, like.
Okay, well, try to figure out if you can feel a disparity between right and left, and try to play with the rotation of the leg on that side. Either roll it out or in, but keep the other leg the same, and see if it helps. Does that make sense to you?
I mean, I normally have my legs right, and so I have the feet, looking upwards, right? So, and the heels for me is always bothersome. But then I guess if I internal or external rotate, it will the legs as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it will feel more comfortable.
I'll try that and get back to you then.
Try that and tell me which one worked, whether you roll in or whether you roll out. Because depending on the situation in your hip and your spine, one will feel good, the other will improve it, the other won't. So you just got to experiment. This is a very individual thing. Maybe even one leg will roll in, the other leg will stay the same, or roll out. You've got to just try to figure that out on your own.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. All right. So I think we'll call it a day. Thank you for being here and for all the energy and the attention. I know it's difficult to be looking at the screen for a long time. So just, massage your eyes and press the head against the hands and open your chest just to relax a little bit. Give your eyes a little bit of a massage. Let's all rub our hands together and make our hands warm so we can just relax our eyes a little bit. Take your warm palms to your eyes and just feel that warmth soothing the muscles of your eyes, and then just swipe down your whole body. So thank you very much for the energy, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you
Bye, everybody.
See you tomorrow. Miss you
Bye.
all.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, Pee-wee. Good night. What time is it for you?
9 p.m.
Oh gosh, nearly bedtime.
Yeah. Dinner first, then bedtime.
Okay. Good night.
Good night. Good thing it's only every weekend. Bye.
Bye to Nord. Bye.
Thank you, Nord, they said. Nord said, you're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. I had you on a
Hi,
simple
Carla.
screen. I've sent you a mini video. You look great.
Oh,
so I've had a movie.
Thanks, Carla.
You're welcome. Namaste.
Namaste.
I left one training and came to the next. I'm like diving into trainings.
Good. Okay, here's Nord.
Bye, Nord.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Lenny.
Bye.
Right, permission to leave now. Bye, guys.
Yes, everyone can leave.
Bye. Bye.
Everyone can leave so we can eat.
Have a good dinner.
Bye, guys. Good night from me too.
All right.